Just a few months ago, MG Philippines has electrified their best-selling subcompact crossover, the MGZS. But if you're looking at that vehicle but you think it's a little bit too small for you, well, we have good news for you because now we have the slightly larger MGHS as a hybrid now. So in this video, let's take a look at this compact crossover and see what exactly it has to offer. So in terms of styling, the new MGHS Hybrid looks a lot sleeker compared to before. If the previous MGHS was going for a more refined look, something like a Mercedes-Benz GLC, honestly, in terms of the shape, this one's a little bit more aggressive. So if you look at this front area, the grille, it looks kind of menacing. It's also very sporty looking because it is all blacked out. You have a nice chrome strip that runs across the entire front end, making it look like you have some sort of a light bar effect, but no, there is no light bar right there. You still do get a digital matrix LED headlamps with your Ls though, and you also notice that the hood, there's just so much dips on it. On the side too, it's a similar story. So if you notice this roof line, it's a little bit more raked now, so the car does look a little bit lower, a little bit more sporty. And if you notice the rims too, they're blacked out, and these are 19-inch rims, but because the wheel wells are so big, honestly, from afar and even up close, kind of looks like they are just 18. So, maybe this car can even be pushed to having 20 or 21-inch rims. Good on this. Now, there's also this kind of odd-looking trim piece by the fender and the door. There seems to be a hole here, some sort of, I don't know, that's supposed to have a camera, but I think this particular unit doesn't have that. Although, if you do look at your wing mirrors, there is a camera right there, which we will show you later on the inside. At the rear end of the MGHS Hybrid, what I really love about this is if you take a look at this quarter panel right here, it looks quite fat. And if you look at it from a particular angle, namely over here, kind of looks like a Jaguar F-Type, if you look hard enough. Okay, so the rear end, just like the front, you have like a chrome strip that runs across the entire width of it. Looks pretty nice too. It's under this piece of plastic. LED tail lamps right here. You have a Hybrid Plus badge and even like a spoiler on the top end. But what I'm not a big fan of would be this faux carbon fiber trim below. But I guess we can forgive it because everyone's going for faux carbon fiber trims nowadays. Now, when you do open up this tailgate, notice that it's powered. You even have a nice parcel cover here that is retractable. And what I really like about this rear end, look at it, it's very square. So putting luggage in here or maybe even balikbayan boxes, it's really good. It makes great use of its space. Just in case that still is not enough, you can lift up this false floor, which reveals additional storage, and those rear seats also fold down 60/40. Now let's talk about important bits, the powertrain. But before that, take a look at this hood. Hood struts in a car of this caliber, right? Not bad at all. So anyway, what you have here under the hood is a 1.5-liter turbocharged gasoline engine paired to a hybrid motor and a 1.83 kilowatt-hour battery. This makes a battery about twice as big as some of the batteries of its competitors, particularly some Japanese ones. But anyway, power-wise, you have 224 horsepower, 340 newton meters of torque, and for transmission, you have a 2-speed dedicated hybrid transmission. For fuel economy, we tested it to be around 8.5 kilometers per liter in the city, but take note, this is in Carmageddon level EDSA. For some reason, for the past few days, EDSA hasn't been moving. We had an average speed of around 10 kilometers per hour, so it's practically a ginormous parking lot. For the highway, unfortunately, we weren't able to test it out. So yeah, we'll just probably leave it in the comments just in case we get to test it out after this video. Now let's move inside the interior, but as usual, we check the door stud first. Surprisingly, sounds good. Inside here, you'll notice that the interior has been completely redesigned. So the previous MGHS had some quality issues with it, but for this one, I think everything feels very well built. I mean, if you shake these things, okay, maybe not the shifter, but like the sides of the doors and even the dashboard, you can like wiggle it on about, and it feels very solid. There's a lot of padded materials too, all over that dashboard, all over this door, and even have a lot of piano black with nice silver accents too. You have a dual 12.3-inch screen setup, and this center screen comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but I can't seem to find any sort of a wireless function, so they seem to be only wired. And this also comes with a reverse camera like that, and even a side camera too, which is honestly quite useful because in a lot of vehicles they only show you like a lane watch camera, like with Honda, right? But the angle of it, while it's good for looking at your blind spot, it doesn't really show you much of the ground, like the curb, for example, if you're turning into a tight street. But for this one, you see a lot of it. It also has that fisheye effect, so it really gives you a lot. You see a lot through these cameras. Anyway, aside from that too, the steering wheel, again, updated. This is the same steering wheel you'd find in the updated MGZS Hybrid. There's buttons on it on both sides, quite easy to use. This is also how you control your ADAS functions because this is equipped with the entire suite of advanced driver assistance system functions such as adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, and rear cross traffic braking, among others. Now the seats, I quite like them because they are nice and wide and they are very comfortable. There's even an easy ingress and egress function for the driver's side, power adjustable with lumbar support and even a memory function. Meanwhile, the passenger seat gets a 4-way power adjustments too. What I'm not a big fan of with this one is for some reason MG didn't give you a single USB-C port in here, so there's dual USB-A ports, which doesn't really befit a new car in 2025. And the cup holders are also quite small and they're quite near the air vent, so if you put like bigger cups in it, I don't really think it will fit. Now let's move to this electronic shifter, and as mentioned earlier, it does feel a little bit wobbly, so not a big fan of that. But you do also get an electronic parking brake, auto hold, hill descent control, and even a wireless charging pad. On the top, there is a big panoramic sunroof too. Now let's move on to the rear seats and we check the door. That sounds amazing. Bank vault like even. So here anyway at the back, it's great for passengers because the space is also amazing. Look at the amount of legroom I have. That's like, it's almost a foot maybe. And the seats too, they are quite comfortable. Although I would appreciate a little bit more extra bolsters for this. But yeah, it feels like a very flat type of seat. The headrest though, quite comfortable. Good amount of incline. You have a privacy glass here by the rear windows. And you also have some sort of soft touch materials too by the doors. So you have your own air vents. And they put 2 USB-C ports here at the back. Not a single USB-A port. Meanwhile, the front only gets 2 USB-A ports. They could have placed like one of each, right? But I don't know, it's kind of weird on MG's part. There is a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and seating a third person here is also very much doable because although there is a little bit of a transmission tunnel, it isn't too invasive, and the footwells, they are quite large too. The vehicle too, it doesn't feel incredibly narrow, so yeah, for shorter journeys, this is perfectly fine. Oh, by the way, if you're seated here by the center, you still have good amounts of headroom, surprisingly, which is not a very common thing to find in modern vehicles. Alright, now let's drive this new MGHS Hybrid, and immediately I'm quite surprised with it because when I drove the previous MGHS, it was probably one of the least sporty cars I've driven. It was a comfortable car, I gotta give it that, but you know, it was kind of lacking, especially in terms of the transmission. But now with the new powertrain, since you do have your instant torque and you have a dedicated hybrid transmission, there's no lag, there's no jerk, it's quite smooth, especially inside the city. And yeah, well, throttle response is pretty good too. It's not the peppiest thing out there, but it's a little bit more fun to drive now is what I'm trying to say. But just because your power has been taken care of, handling wise, it still is a car that leans towards comfort a little bit more. So the suspension, for example, you do have multi-links at the back, but it's not a multi-link setup tuned for sporty driving. It's a multi-link suspension setup tuned for comfortable driving, and in here it really is quite comfortable. It's very wafty. It does get kind of wallowy at times, which could be a good or a bad thing depending on your body. If you're someone who gets queasy quite often, if you take this on winding roads, and maybe this isn't the best car for you, but for a general drive on a day-to-day basis, it is really soft. You barely feel any of the bumps. You kind of just like bounce over them. You don't really glide over them, but you do bounce over them, so it doesn't really hurt your body when you drive this even on pretty bad streets. Visibility inside here, the A-pillars are quite thick and you don't really see much out of the back. But remember earlier I talked about those cameras. Those cameras are excellent. Parking this is also pretty good because this is one of the few cars in this price range wherein you actually have the side mirror auto tilt function when you put the car in reverse. Usually you'd only find that in luxury vehicles, but for this one, it works, and for both sides too. So that definitely is a strong point of the new MGHS hybrid. Additionally, the steering, it's also really good for city use because it just is so light. I mean, there are 3 settings for the steering weight, and you can configure them just by going inside the infotainment screen. But I find myself putting it in the comfiest, the lightest mode, and yeah, it's very easy to maneuver inside the city. It's effortless, really. There is a downside to that though. So when you want to drive this a little bit more spiritedly, well, you don't really have any feedback whatsoever. It is an electronic power steering system, so that is also to be expected. But then again, for most buyers looking into this segment, I think that type of steering system is more than enough for them. It's also quite quiet in here. You don't have to really be going into your EV mode. Even in your regular ICE mode, it's pretty quiet. Even when you're traveling at higher speeds, they've improved noise insulation a lot. Probably through deadening, probably through, I find these windows to be quite thick. It doesn't seem to be double pane, but yeah, that's pretty good. So it is a big step up, not just from the MGHS of before, but also if you're thinking of getting the MGZS, for example. This one step above really changes a lot of things. You really feel all that extra refinement, all that extra quietness, all that extra comfort, especially when it comes to your suspension. So as a daily cruiser, yeah, I would say that the MGHS hybrid, it's a pretty good car. It's not the best, but it's a pretty good car overall. The new MGHS hybrid truly is a huge improvement over the previous MGHS. Now you have a powertrain that is actually quite fun to drive, very smooth inside the city, and also very fuel efficient. At the same time, you have a car that doesn't look too old-fashioned, and instead it looks quite aggressive. So how much does it cost? Well, we don't have the exact figures yet as of the filming of this video, but according to MG Philippines, it should retail for around 1.4 million pesos. And for that amount of money, you get a car that is compact in size instead of just subcompact, unlike some of the cars in that price range. And you also get a car that, well, is exempted from coding. So if you have around 1.4 million pesos and you are looking for a very spacious hybrid vehicle, then the MGHS hybrid is honestly a pretty good car to consider.